Okay, so get this right. I've been digging into this company called CORTEX, and their work on epilepsy treatment is, well, straight out of science fiction.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They're talking about potential cures using stem cells, even AI.
It's pretty remarkable, honestly.
Yeah, and all of this is like right here in this stack of research papers and company stuff.
Well, I think what's most impressive is how Cortex is kind of bringing together all these different areas of science.
Yeah, yeah.
Stem cell transplants, really advanced AI for analysis.
Uh-huh.
It's a pretty complex attack on something that has really resisted the usual treatments for a long time.
Right, exactly. Epilepsy is not exactly a rare thing, is it?
No, not at all.
No.
The numbers are actually pretty staggering.
Yeah.
Over 65 million people worldwide.
Wow.
And for almost a third of them, medication just doesn't cut it.
Right.
It doesn't really do much for them.
Right.
And that's really what makes Cortex's research so important.
Yeah.
They're really focusing on neural stem cells,
Mm-hmm.
which, have this really amazing ability to turn into all different kinds of brain cells.
So instead of just trying to, like, stop the seizures, like dampen them down,
Right.
they're actually trying to fix the wiring, so to speak.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
the underlying problem.
Exactly. Think of it as a two-prong approach.
Okay.
First, they're trying to figure out how stem cells could directly stop a seizure,
Mm-hmm.
almost like a circuit breaker.
Uh-huh.
And second, they're looking at how these cells might actually be able to fix the damaged parts of the brain that are causing the seizures.
So, I mean, they're not just kind of throwing these cells at the problem and hoping for the best, right?
No, absolutely not.
There's a lot of testing going on.
Tons of testing,
Right.
rigorous testing before anything gets anywhere near humans.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where animal models come in.
Right, right.
Cortex is using these models to really carefully look at both how safe and how well stem cell transplants work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing even with these models, there's still tons of data to analyze.
Oh, yeah.
Right? All those tiny images of cells under a microscope,
Mountains of data.
that's got to be super time consuming.
You're absolutely right.
Right.
Yeah. Traditionally, researchers would spend hours and hours hunched over microscopes.
Yeah.
Painstakingly going through images.
Just, analyzing everything.
And that's where Cortex's pretty innovative use of AI comes in.
Oh, okay. So the AI.
They've developed a really sophisticated machine learning platform.
Yep.
Just for this task.
So walk me through this a bit.
Sure.
How does the AI actually analyze those images?
Yeah.
What are the machines looking for?
So imagine teaching a computer to see the very small differences between different types of cells.
Okay, yeah.
To track how they move, how they interact over time.
Mhm.
That's basically what they've done.
Okay.
They've trained their system to find and follow specific stem cells using computer vision.
Wow.
Then deep neural networks, basically complex algorithms, you could say they're kind of inspired by the human brain.
Yeah.
Those take over.
Okay.
These networks go through the images,
Uh-huh.
looking for patterns and insights that a human would probably never spot.
So we've got like these super powered microscopes, basically.
Right.
What's the real benefit here?
Okay, well,
Like, how does this change how we do epilepsy research?
well, it's really, really big, the implications. First, it just speeds up the research. So much analysis that used to take, maybe hours or days can be done in minutes.
Wow.
Then there's the accuracy issue,
Yeah.
human observation. I mean, no matter how good someone is, there's always going to be some subjectivity there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
The platform gets rid of that.
Mhm.
It gives you more consistent and reliable results.
So it's not just, going faster. It's also about the data itself being better.
Exactly.
Wow.
Much more precise.
Okay, so back to the stem cells.
Okay.
You said they're using neural stem cells, which
Right.
can become all these different brain cells.
Uh-huh.
Are there specific types they're focusing on, or is it more like replacing whatever's damaged?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it really gets to how complex this research is. They're looking at a whole bunch of cell types, each one with its own potential role in controlling seizures
Right.
and in repairing neural circuits.
Right.
Some of these cells might actually directly stop the overactivity that leads to seizures,
Right.
while others could focus on fixing the damaged insulation called myelin,
Right. Yeah.
which disrupts normal brain signaling.
This is wow, this is a whole other level of precision medicine.
Yeah, it is.
You know?
It really is.
It's going way beyond just treating the symptoms. It's targeting the exact cells
Right.
and circuits involved.
Exactly.
But what are some of the biggest hurdles they're facing with this stem cell research?
Okay, well,
Like, what's holding them back from a cure?
stem cells definitely hold a lot of promise,
Yeah.
but there are still some big challenges to overcome.
Like what?
Well, making sure the cells become the right types,
Yeah.
that they actually properly integrate into the existing neural networks. I mean,
Right.
that's not easy.
No.
And then there's the challenge of controlling their growth
Yeah.
and their behavior once they're transplanted.
So it's not just injecting the stem cells and hoping for the best.
Right.
It's like you have to almost train them
It is, yeah.
to do their job.
It's really a delicate dance,
Yeah.
and that's where Cortex's expertise, well, that's where it really comes in.
Right.
They're always refining their techniques,
Yeah.
learning from every experiment,
Right.
and really pushing the limits of what's possible.
That's really incredible.
It is.
But while they're working on these long-term solutions,
Right.
I mean, people with epilepsy still need help today,
Yes.
right?
Of course.
I saw that they're also making this device called AUREVIA. Is that like they kind of bridge the gap
Yeah, you could say that.
while they continue all this other groundbreaking stuff?
You're exactly right.
Okay.
AUREVIA is a really fascinating parallel track in their work.
Yeah.
It offers, more immediate help to those living with epilepsy.
Now, I got to say, this idea of predicting seizures, it sounds almost too good to be true.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does that even work?
Well, it's a pretty clever use of technology.
Okay.
AUREVIA it's a wearable device. It's
Okay.
constantly monitoring brainwave patterns, kind of like an EEG,
Uh-huh.
but in a much more user-friendly way.
Okay.
The real breakthrough is its abilities to find those subtle shifts in those patterns
Yeah.
that often happen before a seizure.
So it's like a personal earthquake detector for your brain.
That's a great analogy.
Right. It's picking up those tremors before the big one hits.
Yeah. Yeah, and what's really remarkable is that AUREVIA can give this warning up to 15 minutes before a seizure.
Wow. 15 minutes.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
it is.
That's,
It's huge.
yeah, for someone with epilepsy, that's life-changing.
Oh, yeah.
But how does it know what to look for?
Well,
Everyone's brain is different.
that's true. It is. That's where the smart analytics comes in.
Okay.
AUREVIA doesn't just rely on general patterns. It's constantly adapting to each person's unique brainwave signature.
Wow, that's amazing.
So think of it like a device that's constantly learning and evolving with you.
Uh-huh.
This personalized approach, it's really key to its accuracy,
Right.
and how well it works.
This is amazing.
It is.
But let's, before we get too carried away with all the cool tech stuff,
Right.
I think it's important to think about what this could really mean
Yeah.
for someone living with epilepsy.
Yeah.
Imagine
Yeah.
knowing you have 15 minutes before a seizure.
It's a game changer.
Right.
On so many levels.
I mean, not only does it give you time to be safe,
right.
move away from hazards or let someone know.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-oh.
But it also really impacts, peace of mind.
Yeah.
Think about the fear and the anxiety
Yeah.
that comes with epilepsy.
Right.
Never knowing when a seizure might happen.
Right, that constant fear.
AUREVIA helps to lessen that.
Yeah.
It helps people take back some control
Mhm.
and just live more confidently.
So it's almost like it shifts things.
It does.
It puts the person back in charge
Yeah.
instead of feeling like the condition is in charge.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got these two really exciting areas of research going on.
Yeah.
Stem cells, maybe for a cure,
Mm,
and then AUREVIA to help people right now.
right.
But how does Cortex see these fitting together in the future?
Okay.
I
Well,
mean, is the goal to eventually not need AUREVIA anymore?
that's a question that really gets to the core of their long-term vision.
Hmm.
Their biggest goal is to move past just managing symptoms
Yeah,
and to create lasting solutions, maybe even cures.
right.
AUREVIA provides a really valuable bridge, you could say.
Mhm.
But their stem cell research, it's all about tackling those root causes of epilepsy.
So it's not about stopping seizures.
Right.
It's about rewiring the brain so they don't happen in the first place.
Exactly.
How far off are we from that kind of cure?
Well, if there's one thing we've learned from scientific breakthroughs, it's that predicting timelines is, well, it's pretty tricky.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But the progress they're making it's undeniable.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
What if what they're learning from epilepsy research could be used for other brain conditions?
Wait, are you saying this could go beyond just epilepsy?
Absolutely. The brain, I mean, it's complicated,
Yeah.
but it often uses shared mechanisms,
Uh-huh.
even across different conditions.
Okay.
So what they're learning about, how to control neural activity, how to repair damaged circuits,
Right.
or even how to regenerate cells, all in the context of epilepsy.
Yeah.
That could be used to develop new therapies for a whole range of neurological disorders.
So, are you talking about Parkinson's, Alzheimer's?
Exactly. Imagine
Right.
using stem cells to replace those damaged neurons
Okay.
in Parkinson's, or to fix the communication problems that
Yeah.
happen in Alzheimer's.
My mind is officially blown.
It's pretty amazing stuff.
So we're not just talking about a cure for epilepsy.
Right.
We're talking about like a whole new world of neuroscience.
Exactly. And that's what makes this research so exciting.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
could change the lives of millions.
This is giving me so much hope, not just for epilepsy,
Yeah.
but for all these brain disorders.
Absolutely.
But with such powerful technology.
Mm-hmm.
Don't we have to think about the ethics of it all?
You're right, you do.
Right. I mean, we're talking about devices that can see what's happening in your brain.
Uh-huh.
And treatments that could actually change how it's structured.
You raise a really crucial point.
Yeah.
Just like with any groundbreaking technology, ethical considerations are, well, they're absolutely essential.
Uh-huh.
With something like AUREVIA, which collects this sensitive brainwave data,
Uh,
questions about privacy,
Right.
security, and potential misuse, those have to be addressed.
Yeah, those are big questions.
And when you're dealing with stem cell therapies,
Mhm.
carefully weighing those potential benefits against any risks is crucial.
These are definitely some heavy questions.
They are.
And
Yeah.
I don't envy the people who have to figure all that out.
It's complex.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
But let's maybe lighten things up for a second.
Okay.
I noticed in some of Cortex's marketing stuff,
Mm-hmm.
they describe AUREVIA as having this like sleek, wearable design.
Oh, yeah.
So even medical devices have to be fashionable now.
It seems like it.
Right.
Yeah.
It does seem like they've put a lot of thought into like the user experience.
They have, and
Yeah.
that's important. I mean, a device like this only works if people wear it.
Exactly. Right.
Right.
They also talk about it effortlessly fitting into your day.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they'll have different colors or styles,
Well, yeah.
maybe a limited edition designer version.
Haha, you're getting ahead of yourself.
I know.
But I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we live in a world where even medical devices can be fashionable.
That's true.
Yeah.
But all joking aside, it's good that they're paying attention to that.
It is.
How people actually use this thing.
And important.
They're not just focused on the science, but on how to make it easy for people.
Right. How to make appealing
Yeah.
for the people who actually need it.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, from everything we've seen so far, I think Cortex is doing some amazing things.
I think so too.
They're really bringing together cutting-edge science
Yeah.
with like user-friendly design
It's a good combination.
to create solutions that they could really change everything for epilepsy treatment.
Yeah, I think so.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe even cure it one day.
Maybe. That would be incredible.
That would be amazing.
I would.
So what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away?
Okay. From
This deep dive into Cortex and the future of epilepsy treatment.
I think the most important message is that there's hope.
Uh-huh.
For too long, people with epilepsy have been told to just manage their condition.
Right.
To live with the limits it puts on their lives.
Right. Accept it.
Yeah, and Cortex's research is, well, it's a powerful reminder
Yeah.
that we don't have to settle.
That's so important.
We can push for better treatments, more innovative solutions, and ultimately for a cure.
That's a really powerful message.
Yes.
And for our listeners who want to learn more, where should they go?
Well,
what resources do you recommend?
the first place to check out would be Cortex's website.
Okay,
They
yeah.
have a ton of information there
Right.
about their research, their technology, and their vision for the future.
Okay, we'll definitely link that in the show notes.
Okay, great.
Anything else?
Yes, I'd also encourage everyone to look into the Epilepsy Foundation.
Okay.
They're a fantastic organization that gives support
Mhm.
and resources and advocates for people with epilepsy
Okay, that's great.
and their families.
We'll link to them as well.
Perfect.
And lastly, anything else you want to leave our listeners with?
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts or questions?
Yeah, I'd like to leave our listeners with this thought.
Okay.
Imagine a world where technology doesn't just help us manage our health, but it actually allows us to live our lives to the fullest,
Yeah.
free from the limits of disease.
Wow.
That's the future that Cortex is working towards.
Yeah.
And it's a future worth fighting for.
Beautifully said. And on that inspiring note,
Yeah.
we'll wrap up this deep dive into Cortex
Okay.
and the future of epilepsy treatment.
It's been a good one.
It has. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
It was my pleasure. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay. Yeah, you were saying?
What if what they're learning about epilepsy could actually help with other conditions, brain conditions?
Hold on. Are you saying this could go beyond just epilepsy?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Wow.
The brain, I mean, yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah.
But a lot of times there are these shared mechanisms going on.
Okay.
Like, even in conditions that seem really different.
Uh-huh.
So what they're figuring out about, say, how to control neural activity or how to repair damaged circuits or even, regenerate cells. All this stuff they're learning with epilepsy. It could potentially be applied to a whole bunch of different neurological problems.
Are you talking about like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, things like that?
Exactly.
Wow.
Imagine, being able to use stem cells to replace those damaged neurons,
Okay.
like in Parkinson's,
Yeah.
or to fix those communication breakdowns that happen in Alzheimer's.
Wow. I mean,
It's pretty groundbreaking.
yeah, my mind is officially blown.
It's a whole new frontier, really.
So it's not just a cure for epilepsy. We're talking about like a whole new understanding of how the brain works.
Exactly, and that's what makes this research so incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It have the potential to help so many people.
This is giving me so much hope, not just for epilepsy,
I know, right?
but for anyone dealing with a neurological disorder.
Absolutely, it's a game changer.
But with this kind of technology, I mean, it's so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
We have to think about the ethical side of things, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, are we going too far?
That's a good question.
We're talking about devices that can basically read your mind,
Uh-huh.
and treatments that could actually change your brain.
It's a really important point to consider.
Yeah.
With any new technology this powerful,
Right.
we have to think about the ethics.
Yeah.
Like with AUREVIA, it collects all this really personal brainwave data.
Right.
So we have to talk about privacy,
Yeah.
security, the potential for misuse.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And with stem cell therapies,
Oh.
it's so important to weigh the potential benefits against any risks.
These are really big questions.
They're complex.
Yeah.
There's a lot to consider.
I don't envy the people who have to figure all this out.
It's not easy.
But let's shift gears for a second.
Okay.
Maybe lighten things up a bit.
Yeah, sounds good.
I was looking at some of Cortex's marketing stuff,
Uh-huh.
and they describe AUREVIA as having this, like, sleek and wearable design.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny, even medical devices have to be fashionable now.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
It seems like they really thought about the user experience.
They did, and that's a good thing because I mean, a device like this, it's only going to work if people actually wear it.
Exactly.
Right.
They also talk about how it, like, effortlessly fits into your day.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they'll have different colors or styles to choose from.
I bet they will.
Maybe a limited edition designer version.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
I know. I'm just thinking out loud.
But hey, you never know.
Right.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. We live in a world where our medical devices can be fashion statements.
That's true. That is true. But seriously, it's good that Cortex is thinking about this stuff.
It is. It's important.
They're not just focused on the science. They're thinking about how people will actually use it.
Right. Making it accessible.
Exactly.
Making it something people want to use.
Yeah. And I think that's really important.
It is.
I really do.
Yeah.
Well, based on everything we've talked about,
Mhm.
I think Cortex is on the right track.
I think so too.
They're combining this really advanced science
Yeah.
with a focus on the user
It's a good combination.
to create solutions that they could really change everything about epilepsy treatment.
Absolutely.
And who knows, maybe one day even cure it.
That would be amazing.
It would be incredible.
It really would.
So what would you say is the most important thing you want our listeners to take away from this?
Well,
This whole deep dive into Cortex and the future of epilepsy treatments.
the biggest takeaway, I think, is hope.
Mhm.
For so long, people with epilepsy, they've just been told to manage their condition.
Right, just deal with it.
Yeah, accept the limitations, but Cortex's research, it's showing us
Yeah,
that we don't have to settle for that.
and it's so
We can push for better treatments,
Mhm.
more creative solutions, and ultimately, we can push for a cure.
That's a really powerful message.
It is. It really is.
And for our listeners who want to learn more, where should they go?
Oh, well, a great place to start is Cortex's website.
Okay, yeah,
They've got a ton of information there
right.
about their research, their technology, their vision for the future.
Okay, perfect. We'll link to that in the show notes.
Great.
Are there any other resources you'd recommend?
Yes, I'd also recommend checking out the Epilepsy Foundation.
Okay.
They're a great organization. They provide support, information. They advocate for people with epilepsy and their families.
That's wonderful. We'll link to them as well.
Awesome.
Okay, and finally, before we move on,
Yeah.
is there anything else you want to leave our listeners with?
As we've been talking about all this, about stem cells and AI and the search for a cure,
Uh-huh.
what really stands out to me is the strength of the human spirit.
Wow.
Despite all the challenges, the uncertainty, the setbacks.
Right, it's easy to get discouraged.
Yeah, but there's this drive to keep going, to
Uh-huh.
find answers, to make things better.
That's so powerful.
It is, and it's something we can all learn from.
Absolutely.
We can all be inspired by that.
Okay, well, that's a beautiful thought to leave us with.
Thanks.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the science to the ethics.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation.
It really has. And I hope our listeners are as excited about this research as we are.
Me too.
So, until next time, keep learning.
And keep asking questions.
Yeah, keep asking questions.
Absolutely.
I don't know about you, but I'm like walking away from this with a lot of hope.
Oh, absolutely. Me too.
It's amazing to see how science and tech are, coming together like this
Yeah.
to actually create real solutions for people dealing with these conditions.
It really is inspiring.
And for anyone who wants to, keep learning about all this,
Yeah.
don't forget to check out the links in the show notes.
Right, to Cortex's website.
Yeah, Cortex and the Epilepsy Foundation.
Both great resources.
Definitely.
For information and support.
For sure. And if you want to get involved, those are great places to start.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, right?
Yeah.
The more we understand, the better we can advocate.
For ourselves and for our loved ones.
Exactly.
Well said. Well said.
Thanks.
Okay, so before we wrap up today,
Mm-hmm.
are there any other resources you'd recommend?
I'd encourage everyone to check out scientific journals and publications.
Okay.
Some of them can be a bit technical, I get it.
Yeah.
But a lot of them have summaries or articles that are written for a more general audience.
That makes sense, yeah.
It's a really good way to stay up to date.
Okay, that's a great idea. We can link to some good ones on the show notes.
Sure.
What about social media?
Oh, yeah.
Are there any researchers or organizations that you follow that are doing, cool stuff in this area?
Definitely social media can be really helpful for staying informed.
Right.
A lot of researchers and organizations are really active online.
That's great. We'll highlight some of those accounts as well.
Okay, awesome.
All right. So before we say goodbye,
Yeah.
is there anything else you want to share with our listeners?
As we've been talking about all this, about stem cells and AI and the search for a cure,
Mm-hmm.
what really struck me is just how resilient people are.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
All the challenges,
Yeah.
the unknowns, the
Yeah,
setbacks.
it's a lot.
But there's this incredible determination to keep pushing forward,
Mm-hmm.
to find those solutions, to make a better future.
That's so powerful.
It is, and it's something we can all learn from,
Absolutely.
be inspired by.
Okay. Well, that's a beautiful thought.
Thanks.
And on that note, I think we'll wrap up this episode of the
Yeah.
Deep Dive. We've covered so much.
Yeah, we have.
The research, the potential of stem cells, AI,
Mm-hmm.
all the ethical stuff that comes along with it.
It's been a really interesting journey.
It really have. And I hope everyone listening has enjoyed it as much as we have.
Me too.
And remember, knowledge is power.
It is.
And the more we know about these conditions,
Yeah,
the better we can, advocate for ourselves, for the people we care about,
absolutely.
for a future where epilepsy doesn't have to hold anyone back.
That's the goal.
So keep being curious, keep exploring, and until next time, keep diving deep into all the amazing things out there.
Thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.